Oh my god, you guys. This book right here, I've been waiting for, and waiting for, and waiting for. Completely different from what everyone was expecting, really. There are a lot of bad reviews about it because her plot tends to go everywhere in this book, and you kind of lose the main point of it until the very end. So throughout the book you're lost and you're just like, why do all these people matter? In all of her other books, Anne Rice focuses on Lestat's story, his storyline, or whoever the book is about, like Armand or Pandora. In this book, you're focusing on everybody's storyline, and she's introducing new characters and she's bringing back old characters from the dead, and everyone's coming together to have a big orgy in New York City to fight this voice that's inside their heads and trying to get them to kill people. It's trying to get them to kill other vampires, and they don't know why. They don't know who it is at first. It comes in the very beginning and it talks to Lestat, and Lestat's like, who the hell are you? Get away from me. And it does, it leaves. And then later on you find out that this voice is trying to take control of other vampires that are way younger and have them burn other vampires. So everyone's trying to figure out who this voice is and what he wants and where he's coming from. And throughout the book, you're going through everybody's storyline. And you're just like, why does Rashamides matter? Why does this random guy in China matter? This kid in China, whose name is Cyril, I think he's in Japan or China, I don't even know. He has only 3 chapters. Where he's made, he's feeding, and then he's feeding and the voice tells him to come to New York because the story's already over. He only has 3 chapters. Why did this character matter at all? What was his point? I mean, I guess the voice was trying to manipulate him, but it didn't work. You could have cut your book down like 60 pages by not putting in that character. Before I read this book, I was thinking, this is going to be great. It's going to be all about Lestat, and he becomes a prince somehow, and he's already a prince, he's already loved, whatever. After I read this book, yeah, I guess that works. That was disgusting. Because before this book, the only other book you need to read or care about is Queen of the Damned. She doesn't really illustrate the voice that much in that one. She kind of takes that and is like, oh yeah, the voice was there the whole time, and then puts it into this book. Okay, I guess. But one main thing that was bugging me the entire time. So, Akasha dies. The voice goes into Macaire, one of the twins. They're both ancient vampires and they're twins. The voice goes into Macaire. Macaire is blind and mute. After the whole thing of killing Akasha, she's brain dead. She is a walking brain dead body who doesn't even need to drink blood because she's so ancient that she's just brain dead. So the voice goes into brain dead Macaire, and Maharet, the all-powerful, almighty vampire who was there from the very beginning apparently, is her sister and is taking care of her and knows the voices inside of her and doesn't do anything about it. At one point you find out that she wants to jump into a volcano to kill herself so everyone dies, so the voice is gone and they're gone and whatever. Why was Macaire important at all? She didn't do anything. She kind of walked around, and she only had one major point in the story where she actually did something, and that was her death. So why was the voice inside Macaire? Why wasn't the voice inside Maharet? That would have been a much more interesting story if the voice was inside Maharet, the most powerful vampire ever. It could have been even more powerful than Akasha. This book was good, but not as good as it could have been. Out of 5 hearts, I guess I'll give it a 3 because it's Anne Rice. I love Anne Rice. I will always read any book she writes about the vampires. Spoiler alert, don't watch this part of the video if you don't want to know how Macaire dies. And it's the key turning point in the whole story. So if you don't want to know this, stop the video right now. I already gave my rating, so you don't need to see this part. If you are interested in what happens and you don't care about spoilers because you're never going to read this book anyway, the only thing McCare does in the whole book, besides walking around aimlessly, is the voice finally convinces Lestat to take it into him. McCare comes out of nowhere, takes out one of the eyes that the science vampires gave her, takes it out. Lestat sucks her brain out of her eye socket. He just sucks it out of her eye socket, and then she's dead. And then he's Prince Lestat. That's it. That's it. And by this point, the voice isn't even evil anymore. It's just like, I just want to leave this body. Like, I don't even care anymore. I'll be good, but I just want to leave. Ew. Ew. When I read that part, I had to just stop and look away and just gather myself for a moment. But there are so many things that could have gone differently in this book. He could have done that earlier in the book and been evil. They could have had Lestat in his point of view with the voice burning everyone like they had with Chamonix. Or he got his arm chopped off and then he was imprisoned. All he did was kill Maharet and then Cayman, who was Maharet's lover boy. So that's all he did. But if the voice had gone into Lestat a lot sooner in the book, and Lestat was evil throughout the book, it would have been way more interesting than this. I'm going to read to you some reviews on Prince Lestat on a website called Goodreads, somewhere I always go to know if a book is good or not, or to look for newer books. The vampire world is in crisis. Their kind have been proliferating out of control, and thanks to technologies undreamed of in previous centuries, they can communicate. They can communicate in the other books with their minds. The only thing they use to communicate in this story is one vampire broadcasting a radio station. That's it. This is a review on Goodreads by JaneSteen.com. There's so much ridiculous in this novel that it doesn't even compute. For one thing, its sense of its own importance is staggering. We have brand name dropping and place name dropping aplenty to remind us ordinary mortals that there are some authors among us who have been places, and seems to like Bon Jovi and iPhones. Then we move on to the ancient vampire stories. Each one gets a chapter. Cyril, Antoine, Marius, Gregory, Everard de Landon, Grempt, Chamonix, and Benedict. Farid, don't try to remember them. They're all gorgeous, powerful, and the same. I have almost no memory of this part of the book because it was basically repetitive. The voice, Akasha, Maharet, the voice, iPhone, Akasha, Armand, classical music is so great. She could have done so much more with these characters in this book, and she just kind of stuck with the whole ancient vampires are sappy and sad and the same. And then on page 340, something finally happens that hasn't happened before, and we lurch at long last into 100 pages of finale. Some blood and gore, kidnapping, much yapping by the aged vampires. This could have happened earlier in the book. She was introducing all these characters for 2/3 of the book, and then finally something actually happens, and then it's quickly resolved, and the end. I feel like the ending of this book was tied together like the ending of Twilight. Huge battle was, bubbling up in the surface, and something huge was gonna happen, and then, oh yeah, you're good by the way, bye. No fight, nothing, just, okay, bye. The end. Back in the old days, we knew they were evil. That was it. They were just there, being evil, a revelation without explanation, as I remember her writing, which was a pretty good line. Their transformation was tragedy, only effected in dire circumstances and often with a struggle. Now we only have 2 humans in the story, young, healthy, and in love, begging to become vampires and remain forever fixed in youth. Twilight, Lewis kills an evildoer. Yum yum, lovely blood, because it's perfectly okay for a vampire to kill someone who's committed a crime or 2, and you don't have to be a murderer or anything like that. Early on, Lestat licks his lips over the petty chemical he just dispatched. And now they've decided they're not going to be damned anymore because but good citizens who sit around dressed perfectly, lighting scented candles and writing little poems, they're still going to kill people because that's basically all racist vampires do. Kill people, make other vampires, be poetic and artistic and look nice. Rice has stripped her series of everything that made it interesting in the first place, presumably because the whole damnation thing was part of the Catholicism she laughs from when she started the series and now, I suppose, rejects utterly. She turned her dark and gothic world into something resembling a Beverly Hills retirement home, where absolutely everyone's had tons of plastic surgery. I predict in the next installment, because oh god, there's going to be one, there will be more pseudoscience with stuff injected into the vampires so they can go out into the sunlight and have children and be normal but better, much better looking. That brings up a point. If there is another Anne Rice book of the Vampire Chronicles, and it turns out like this, I'm not reading it. No. I feel like this book was the end of the series. Lestat is Prince, he's ruler of the vampires, the end. That's it. Stop there while you're good. Don't do any more. And that's it for now. This was episode 3 of Beer Bomb Bookworm. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you around next time. Bye.